took complete control. Ake with a goal that was disallowed because it struck his arm before he put it over the line. But they didn't have to wait long for that second goal. Foden, Savinho with a brilliant little dink into the box, but Haaland's reaction, a quite sensational strike, parallel with the floor, a sort of reverse scorpion back heel. That was 2-0. Then Stones with a header made it 3-0, his second goal in 4 days. Haaland made it 4 at the end of a quite beautiful flowing move that Pep Guardiola appreciated. And then a fifth, Matheus Nunes with a penalty 2 minutes from time after he himself was upended. A terrific night's work. Everything went exactly to plan. The final score, City 5, Sparta Prague 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can get the thoughts of David James, of Steve Howey, and of course our very own Cel.
Good evening, welcome back to Matchday Live with me, Cel Spellman, bringing you live pictures from the Etihad Stadium as City keep their unbeaten record in this year's brand new Champions League campaign. That is unbeaten for Manchester City now with that 5-0 win against Sparta Prague. 2 goals from Erling Haaland, a goal from Phil Foden, and a goal from Matheus Nunes. And to round it off as well, he's back on the score sheet. Johnny Stones can't help put the ball in the back of the net. Steve, you asked for that quick start of the second half and we got it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it was pretty emphatic, the win. Very comfortable, a lot of possession, and the goals, excellent goals. I mean, obviously the one ruled out early doors, Nathan Ake. I have to be honest, I'm pretty pleased about that, given the information that I've been told about he was going to match the same amount of goals as myself. But yeah, I mean, the Haaland one, it amazes me sometimes how high he can get up with his legs. I mean, as I say, if I did that, you know, I'd be in a hospital that night. But I mean, the goal itself, it's like a kind of a hybrid between a scorpion kick and an overhead kick. But what a finish, all the same. But the goals, with his goal and John Stones' great header, the fourth goal for me is a fantastic team goal. You know, everybody knowing exactly where everybody is, the passes are not only great passes, but it's the timing of them, the sort of not the pressure of the pass, just making sure that it's just the right speed on the path to get to the player, and finished off with absolute aplomb. And of course, delighted for Nunes getting his penalty at the end. So ultimately, a very, very good, solid, emphatic performance.
How important is that as well, David? I mean, this season as well, I mean, we've had a couple of, good wins, but it feels like the first big win and a comprehensive win in the Champions League, clean sheet as well. How big of a result does this feel? Not only because of 3 points in the league, but now we're getting into the busy part of the winter calendar.
I think you asked a question at half-time. Well, we were talking about at half-time about Pep being bothered at all, or he looked like he was bothered at the end. What we saw in the second half, 3 goals in 10 minutes. That was after, obviously, Ake's goal disallowed. But it was the variation in those goals. And the Haaland one, I think he's getting a reputation, if he hasn't already got it, for scoring weird and wonderful goals. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is incredible. It is quite literally a back-heel volley, head height. But the point is that the goal was scored from a cross, which we'd seen a lot of in the first half. Nunes in particular on the left-hand side, where we were saying that Haaland was actually in front of the ball. This time he was in the right place for it. But the fourth goal, Steve said there, the one touch, Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Savinho, Haaland. One touch, smashing the back of the net. For Pep and for the rest of the team, they were celebrating. I thought he must have broken some kind of record, but I think he was literally just celebrating how nice that goal looks. With regards to confidence, and you could say, it was a fourth goal against Sparta Prague, and we were going to win the game. But to still be able to do that under control, finish well, it just means, that's what we do normally. Now we're back to that kind of level. Teams need to be worried. Well,
that's it, and that's what that goal kind of epitomised for me, is why I kind of asked the question, but I think I went into our gallery, which is behind the camera I'm talking to now, and said, I've not seen that free-flowing passing goal in a while. There was a time when we were so used to seeing them. For me, it's like a classic Pep goal. It just feels there was a few ingredients in there of City finding the stride. And as I say, now we've got big games coming up in the Champions League. It's more or less games every 3 days. Don't know, it feels like a bit of a moment of a game, this, Steve, for me.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the manager's reaction as well, you know, he absolutely loved that because he knows it's a kind of trademark. Yeah. Really, when you think about it, it was just the execution of it, and it was just zigzag, one side goal, and as Jamo sort of said, it's like kind of very few touches, 1 or 2, just the ball get moved. They've got no chance of catching it. The ball is always going to be quicker than the player. Haaland's first touch to come inside is a great touch. It's out of his feet, opens himself up and sticks it in. But as a team goal, that for me was the best goal of the game, even though you had Haaland's ridiculous agility. And I think John Stones' header was an excellent header as well. But yeah, that just topped it off. Really good performance, great goal.
Let's get into the into that second half action then. So, we're just going to get straight into this, aren't we? Before we get into the goals, I mean, we have our possession game where we try and get closest to possession. I mean, I'm miles off it, Steve. It's not been our finest hour today, has it, for guests in possession?
Well, it hasn't, but then again, I mean, I played and I didn't have to play because I was on 100%. But I just thought, you know, it's a team game, make it interesting.
You throw your hat into the ring.
I mean, in all fairness, that's all you've been going on about is the possession.
Well, listen, we'll note that for the next time when you're in, David, and I'm going to be trying to be needling you to get involved because, I mean, you have been, I think you've gone more or less to the top of the leaderboard because you were more or less spot on. 3 out, was it?
Only 3, yeah.
Yeah, only 3. Yeah. But, I mean, obviously, not much change on the Sparta Prague team there. They only had 5 attempts in the first half and that kind of stayed the same. It was total domination. It began in the first minute, actually, of the second half. Nathan Ake with a goal, but ruled out for a handball. Steve, you were saying you're happy because if that had gone in, that would have matched Nathan Ake with the City legend, Steve Howey, on goals scored. So he's still one behind you. You've still got that.
Well, you know, I live to fight another day. but I'm sure he'll beat it. Let's be honest. I mean, he's a top quality player. You know, kind of all jokes aside, you know, the lad's come back. He's in them positions. He does get them goals. For me personally, not like without the goals, just having him back. Yes. Playing. Again and getting those minutes under his belt, I think he'll be more delighted about that rather than anything else. Yeah, totally. So the goal did get ruled off, but it wasn't too long before, of course, we got that all-important second goal. The one you said was going to be important just to settle the feeling on the pitch. And who else but the big man? Erling Haaland, yeah. I mean, the one thing about the goal, he should have scored. But the goalkeeper made a fantastic save before Ake handballed it. Yeah. So you should thank the goalkeeper for keeping it ahead of Ake. Yeah. But you need him, actually. But Erling's goal, as we were talking about at half-time, as I say, especially with Nunes down the left-hand side, getting to the byline and that little dink. Hanging it a bit. Just hanging it. And they did it numerous times in the first half and it just wasn't falling right. I think Erling might have had a header, which the keeper did make a save from a similar kind of position. But this one is Savinho on the right-hand side. I have to say, I looked at Savinho before he played for City. Had a load of look at his crossing and stuff, and I felt that his right foot cross wasn't as cultured as it possibly could do, and might have needed some work. Looks like he's worked on it because it was a perfect cross. The fact that Erling's ended up, I'm trying to think, he scored one in the Champions League. Was it against Dortmund? Against Dortmund. Yes. Similar. Yeah. Forward. This is the same kind of action, but backwards. I'm trying to describe it here, and I'm not terrible. Well, that's what I try. I was going to try. I'm not even going to get up and try and attempt it because I was trying to do it in the gallery, and that didn't end well. So, but it's ridiculous. But it's how he comes back on it and generates the power with the back heel. There's a wonderful angle where you can see him looking at the ball, and then he's not looking at the ball the moment that he has to make contact because he's effectively turned his back. But he's made perfect contact. But the cross was perfect for it. Yes. Had he headed it in, it would have been a perfect cross. It was just kind of like, you can do what you want, Erling. And he did. Yeah. And I think
because Nathan's goal was disallowed, there was always a chance that you look at it and go, oh, it's against us at the moment. We've had all these chances and we haven't scored, or we haven't made it 2-0.
Yeah.
And then something sublime comes up and it is 2-0. And then it's almost like you sense that Sparta had fallen apart there.
Yeah.
3 goals in 10 minutes.
Well, that's it. Then getting on to the second one, and I mean, the man can't stop scoring. It seems very solid in defence, of course. Clean sheet for the boys at the back, very important. Actually, that keeps us clean sheets in all Champions League games so far this season. But John Stones with a lovely assist from Nunes as well, Steve.
Well, he's prolific at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, he's prolific. But the header himself, he knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, you do get told, whether you're centre forward, midfield player, or whatever, you know, when the ball comes in, can you head it back to where it came from? Unless you can fire it in the bottom, or you're like right on top of the goalkeeper and you're hitting it with power and the goalkeeper's got no chance. But it was one of them, it's just looping in the air, and the goalkeeper's just kind of looking at it and he's praying that it just goes past the post, but just ends in the side net. And it's a fantastic header. And as I said, delighted for the lad. Obviously, there's trials and tribulations with the fact of the little niggly injuries, in and out, but he's come in. I mean, he's been scoring some such important goals as well lately.
Yeah.
But he'll have enjoyed that one. Good performance. And I think, as well, for defenders, yes, it's nice to score, but your job is to stop the goals.
Yes.
He did that as well with his teammates.
And that is important, just given, which is probably something we'll focus on more with the game against Southampton at the weekend. We have been susceptible to conceding goals a little bit this season. I know it's early on, so them clean sheets are even more important, just to, I guess, get that solidity within the defence. Yeah,
I mean, there was a couple of occasions in the first half where it just kind of switched off, and we mentioned it. I think it was Rico Lewis and Nunes.
Yes.
It kind of switched off a little bit, and the lad got in, and it's a good save by the goalkeeper. No disrespect to Sparta Prague, but in the Premier League, I think you're going to get more, you've got more of a chance to get punished because you've got top players, top players. But look, the manager will address that. But we all know Southampton, they'll be camping in as well. I've seen Southampton a few times this season. They still like to play out from the back, and they kind of take chances. Sometimes it looks great, but sometimes if they just that misplaced pass, and other teams have capitalised on that. And to be fair, Southampton, even though they haven't won a game this season, they've always been kind of in the games.
In the game, agreed, yeah.
And, I mean, it was a big blow for them at the weekend, winning 2-0 and getting beat 3-2. But, yeah, it's for teams coming up, or any team that's in bad form, the Premier League is absolutely relentless and ruthless, because it's just another game and it's a top team. Yeah. And they'll be looking at that and thinking, and they'll be looking at that result and went, oh, they're just warming up.
Yeah.
So goodness knows what to expect on Saturday.
Next goal then, to get his brace, Erling Haaland popping up with the fourth goal, and again, just nothing that you don't expect from him now.
Yeah, I mean, the finish was probably the easy bit, wasn't it? The moment that Rico Lewis picked the ball up and ran towards the middle of the park, there was a lot of space for him to run into. Yeah. You talk about maturity in young players. There was a lot of opportunity, given the scoreline, for him to take that space to make it his own. But instead, he pops the ball out to Phil Foden, who first times it to Savinho on the right-hand side, who first times it to Erling Haaland on the edge of the box, takes touch inside and smashes it in. And everything about it was beautiful. Yeah. Because everyone did the right way to pass, the right pass, the touch and the finish. And if I've been in the goal when teams have scored something like that. You go, come on, mate, what's going on in front of me? But there was nothing they could do. No. And it was, again, I think things like that would be more pleasing. You could tell by the celebration, as I said, from Erling Haaland, that he was happy with it. Yeah. I don't think it was that he just took it out of his feet and smashed it in. He's done that a few times. Yeah. It was just the way that the build-up was. And as I say, any spirit that was left in that Sparta team, gone.
It was diminished. I think as well that goal would be a definition of poetry in motion. We can, before we do look at the final goal, and we'll want to just take a pause because I'll focus on that goal scorer. We can bring you a still. We tried to explain where he scored the goal from. That's it. But then, as I say, he's not cushioning it back. He generates a back heel That's a joke.
This is what I'm saying, that he wasn't looking at the ball.
What the?
I mean, it's great facials. Mine haven't said that. I think my face would be contorted that way if my leg was that high.
I can't get my leg that high if I was stood in this chair. You know what I mean?
But it looks as though it's kind of coming off the side of his ankle and the side of his boot rather than the heel. But, yeah, I mean... You can imagine the Sparta players.
Look at Nunes.
Yeah, Nunes.
What you're going to hurt yourself coming down from that high.
The right back's never seen anything like it in his career so far as well.
They're all stunned. But as I said, the players will be in the dressing room. Sparta players will be in the dressing room, be thinking, no, the wonder Man City have done what they've done. And I think they even though they've been beat and they'd be very disappointed, I think they'll have gone. You know, you've got to give them applaud them, because it's just a top team.
Yeah,
I have to say I'm disappointed with City TV. There should be a warning: kids, do not try this at home.
Concur. Well, very
Adults
well
don't
said.
try this at home.
Very well. And if you are doing that, do a bit of yoga or some Bikram yoga or something before it anyway. So it's at 4-0 there, and then the final man to get on the score sheet after an assist already, Matheus Nunes, won the penalty as well. Got to take the penalty as well. I'm sure Haaland was on the bench saying that would have been his hat-trick. But delighted for Nunes. I mean, it was a penalty as well. Beautifully taken penalty as well, Steve.
Oh, well, it's a penalty all day long. And again, really pleased for the lad, because it's been in and out for him. But I thought today was probably his best performance when he's been in the team.
Agreed.
And to top it off with a penalty, and again... a very good pen. Goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance. Hits it where, even if he dives the right way, I don't think he's saving it with the power and the accuracy of it. So delighted for the lad as well. Yeah.
David, any fancy chances against that pen?
I'd have saved that.
Yeah. Also, we did see earlier on with what we've seen in the last week as well.
Yeah.
How many penalties get past you?
No, especially on that side, that high.
No, there we go.
Yeah.
But on Matheus Nunes, obviously, Steve, you've said it there, a bit in and out of the team. Does feel like that was really his best 90 minutes in a City shirt. And going off that, if he was to keep his place, it feels like he could really start doing what we were asking players to do, is fighting for their place in the starting 11. And it feels like he can bring a lot to the table. The delivery's in, his legs, which we saw for the Wolves equaliser as well. It was him that ran back to get the ball before we got the corner off. So parts of these games that I do see, that's very much got a place in this team. Yeah,
but we also know how Pep picks his team, and there's no guarantee that you're going to be the first name or guaranteed to be starting in the next game. I think what he's proving to Pep is, look, I'm there.
Yeah.
We know he's capable, but with performances like today, it's like I'm on top of my game. So if there is any doubt on who you want to pick, you pick me ahead of the likes of Doku or Jack Grealish, whoever it may be. I mean, he's got assists, he's got goals. You know, he's a new Guardiola. That's what I'm thinking.
There we go.
This is why it's to be a manager. It's difficult, because you've got a lad there. Well, especially him, it's come in, done fantastically well, and just see on Saturday he comes, he's on the team sheet. He's going to be very, very disappointed. So it's up to the manager, and it's up to the teammates as well, because I think they play a big part to make sure you're still in there. You can't do any more.
Yeah.
The manager knows you're there whenever you're needed, and you know something could happen, and he could get a good run of team. He could be in the team on Saturday, and if he does, he deserves it. If he doesn't, or if he isn't, then just still keep your head down, keep going, and eventually you'll get a chance.
And there's a game every 3 days. Then we're Tottenham after Southampton as well. Let's bring you the Champions League table then. After 3 games played, City not won all 3 like Liverpool and Villa have done, but they are unbeaten. 2 wins and a draw for us. And after 3 games, they're our top 8. So, I mean, we've got Sporting Lisbon in a couple of weeks. They're there. It's on the same amount of points. Of course, Inter Milan as well. We've already faced. Bayer Leverkusen couldn't quite get that win to put them on 3 wins in 3. Brest doing very well as well. They're Monaco in 4th as well. So they're the current top 8 that go straight through to the round 16. I think as well we can bring you the other sides of the table. Arsenal as well, of course, on 7. And then, I mean, all them, it's still so tight.
This is what I was saying. So Sparta, even at 1-0, was still mid in that table, because it's 5-0. Now they've dropped to 21st place.
Yeah.
And that's how this new format is actually making things very precarious, if you like.
Yeah.
You talk about Bayer Leverkusen, they drew with Brest 1-1, so either one of them could have been could have been top. So, yeah, I mean, there was a question mark over this format. 3 games in,
Yes.
You know, the top 3 teams, fantastic teams.
Yeah. Well,
I played for all of them, so I'm really buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, yeah, of course.
But I just think it's great because the other problem that I think we've mentioned enough times is that when you've only got 4 teams in a group, you kind of a couple of games in, you know who's going to go up and who's going to go down. So yeah.
And then if you're looking here at the final other end, I mean, even some big names in the eliminated there. Obviously, kind of few familiar ones. Young Boys Salzburg down at the bottom, but Shakhtar, a big one there for me. Atletico Madrid at the moment as well in the relegation zone. Milan as well, along with PSV. So, yeah, all still to play for. Lots of games to come in the Champions League, and you know the drill. Matchday Live with you every step of the way. I am going to be back with you as well this weekend. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff against Southampton in the Premier League. Steve, you mentioned it before. I mean, they've had a very tough start to their Premier League campaign coming up from the Championship, but as you said, it's not like they've been out of games. They've not had a big thrashing, and they've also stuck to the principles, which is admirable, but tough task for them to come to the Etihad.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Wolves. I think I was just knowing the stat as well. Wolves have played the top 6 teams in the Premier League in their games, and the other 2 are in the top 8, I think, or top 9.
Yeah, I think it was like Newcastle and Brentford away, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's the same. I mean, it's a fantastic experience for the players to be in this league. They've worked ever so hard to get into the league, but sometimes you just it's. As a player, you enjoy, but you don't, because every week you're getting beat, and you're just thinking, you know, what do we have to do to get that break? You'd have thought last week 2-0 up at half time, you know, well, let's just keep it safe, but it's going to be a tough game for them. Can they get something? I don't think it will be on Saturday, but I think eventually they'll get that win.
It'll get going. And for City as well, David, obviously, we know we're 5 changes tonight. As always, probably be a little bit of rotation, but hopefully, maybe as well, we're building on this clean sheet as well, which I think is quite important for us at the moment.
Yeah, I think from the Premier League perspective, clean sheets don't win you leagues. It's the goals you score, and there doesn't seem to be a problem in that side of the things at the moment. What's interesting about Southampton, especially with Ramsdale going now, I think, trying to work out how many games he's had now. I think it's 5 games he's played for Southampton. Yeah. Conceded 13 goals, or 6 games, and he's conceded 16 goals. Basically, he concedes 3 a game.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a part of it where you go in thinking, oh, they leak goals, even if they've been in games or been in the league, they still leak goals.
Yeah.
If City go in with the mindset they had today, where it's 1-0 half time, and you know, not finished but under control, then we might have a repeat of what we had tonight, in a 5-0 ending scoreline. But if they go in there think that we're going to score 3 because they concede 3, that's when things start going wrong. So, as I say, a few changes probably, but I don't think the mindset will be any different.
No, not at all. Well, listen, what an absolute pleasure it's been. Just a little bit of housekeeping before I leave you. So I am back this weekend. We'll be bringing you all the build-up to that 3 o'clock kickoff for 2 p.m. I wanted to ask you as well, if you are travelling to either the Southampton game or our next Champions League game, which is away at Sporting Lisbon in 2 weeks' time on the 5th of November, we'd love to hear from you. So that is to any of you fans that will be travelling to this Southampton game this weekend or the Sporting Lisbon match away from home in 2 weeks' time. Please get in touch with us. We would love to get you involved in the Matchday Live show. And final bit of housekeeping for me, our next Champions League game is against Feyenoord at home. Details on the screen, end of November, Tuesday the 26th, 8 o'clock kickoff. Tickets are available now. There are a few terms and conditions with getting these tickets, which you can find on the website, but it's available for all-season ticket members and official members who have joined before the 28th of August. And if you've been to the Etihad 3+ times, just go to the Man City website for more details. But let's get the Etihad rocking as it was tonight. Massive thank you to my guests as always, Steve Howey and David James. You've actually got commentary on Saturday.
I have, yes. Looking forward to it.
Lovely stuff. We'll see you there. Until then, though, guys, have a wonderful rest of the week. Thanks for watching Matchday Live as always, and I'll see you on Saturday. Good night.
I mean, he was obsessed.
He was obsessed. I was just obsessed with football.
He's turned into such an outstanding football player.
He's already one of the best players in the Premier League. I think the future is all his.
He'll be up there with the best players in the world.
He could be a Ballon d'Or winner.
He sort of sat back and was like, wow, you're going to be a really special player.
He was doing all these magical things at such a young age.
Phil was the smallest one, but if he was on your team, you knew you were going to win.
He can be running for 90 minutes. He doesn't stop.
Phil in that game was he was the most Brazilian player on the pitch.
Genuine love for playing football.
Whatever he wants to achieve, he can get it.
He's just a lad from Stockport.
Statue next to yours as well.
You probably have a whole stadium for him.